Hello, Gleb. Thank you very much for responding to my interview request and also for joining us at the Central Open Data Hackathon and Personal Democracy Forum in Warsaw. Could you tell?
Hi.
Yes, sorry for interrupting.
Yeah. Hi. I'm really glad and thank you so much for the invitation. Always great to meet people who are trying to do something new with limited tools and with open data.
Could you tell me a few words about yourself? What do you do? I know that you have quite a long history with technologies and social activism. Just a few words about your most important project so far.
Yeah. So in short, I'm a web developer and designer, and basically I'm a part of a group of volunteers here in Minsk, Belarus, and we are trying to build several prototypes of projects that would help people with disabilities and among other groups to use open data, to use infrastructure that's already available but is not being used for valuable services. And we're also working with journalists who need help using the new technologies. So, for example, just to give a couple of examples, one of the projects is about helping children and grown-ups with visual impairments, with sight disabilities, to find out about the culture and architecture of Belarus by building 3D printed models of monuments and buildings and architectural landscapes of Belarus. And we basically organize museum field trips for them. And that turns out to be one of the best ways to find out about architecture for people with disabilities. And another project is about building a map of accessible objects and transportation options in Belarus, because so far there is no single database of accessible objects here. So we're trying to build something from scratch. Lastly, we are working with open data sources to analyze information about fires and other emergencies and crime in Belarus, and plotting those cases on the map and trying to help journalists to analyze data and to present narratives about what is going on in our country, because the data used to be closed, and now there are so many ways to analyze it.
Okay, and I've heard that you are also the organizer of the local hackerspace community. Can you tell a few words about this? What kind of community is that, and what do you do in the hackerspace in Minsk?
Sure. Well, that's actually a hackerspace is just another word for people doing something together. Basically, we are trying to get people with an interest in technology to cooperate and to do something valuable with their free time and with their hobbies. I'm not actually one of the organizers of the hackerspace itself. I'm simply helping people with interesting ideas to come to the hackerspace and to do something practical, do something valuable together with the hackerspace community. So, as I mentioned, the project about 3D printed models of architectural monuments, that was an idea that came from the community of people who work with people with disabilities. And it turned out that people at the hackerspace, our friends and colleagues, they said, hey, that's a great idea. Why don't we use 3D printer for that? And why don't we add a small model of, let's say, a cathedral, so that when a kid with sight impairments touches this cathedral, they would be able to explore it, and the microcomputer would play music responding to the touch, for example, music from 17th century, or play a bit of audio to complement the exploration, the experience. So that's just one of the examples of people working together using open technologies, and it was so inspiring because we managed to introduce something like 20 or 22 groups of children to architecture so far, and they all loved it. And people at the hackerspace are inspired because they see a real use for their technology skills. So that's, the more you can do by helping people help each other, the more you can accomplish and share. That's one of the things that really inspires me.
Wow, thank you. That definitely sounds inspiring. And going from Hackspace to Hackathon, have you ever participated in the Hackathon? What do you think about the whole formula of trying to create something within 2 days? Recently, the whole format was criticized, that people can't finalize their projects only within 2 days. Did you ever had a positive experience, or your experience was negative as well?
Well, look, you can say a lot of things about the format. It depends on the people who actually come and participate. The very worst thing that could happen during the hackathon is when people come to use other people's skills for free for their own purposes without contributing back. But if there is any problem, and if you all have fun while building something over a weekend, and if you see the project actually launched and being used by other people, then wow, you did something over the weekend instead of just hanging out with friends and drinking beer. Or also, you could actually hang out with friends at a hackathon and also build something. So hackathons are a great way to mobilize people and to help to introduce people who otherwise have little chance of meeting. So we organized 2 hackathons here in Minsk, and actually something magical happened. We managed to introduce from the architectural community to designers, like web designers and mobile app designers, and to social activists. And together they built quite a few impressive things. And for example, one of the guys came with an idea to build a sonar for blind people, like a little device that would be worn at the chest level. It would use a few pieces of simple microelectronics like Arduino and ultrasound detectors for measuring distance, and it would tell a visually impaired person when there is an obstacle on the way. And it turned out that people from the architectural community actually had colleagues with sight disabilities. So we had somebody who actually came over and who had this problem firsthand, and who was able to test the device. And another example is when journalists have real issues that they want to discuss and to analyze and to investigate, and they need help from, for example, programmers to provide the analysis scripts and technical help. So the project that I mentioned with mapping fires and other emergencies on the map of Minsk, that was also actually done during the hackathon. The idea came from the journalists, but the programmer said, yeah, that's a nice technical problem to solve. Why don't we try and solve it during the 48 hours? And, for somebody who works in a cubicle 40 hours or 60 hours a week, as most programmers do, it was a chance to do something for basically pleasure as an experiment. They tried different technologies, one of them worked, and now the project is actually live and people are using it. It's a nice proof of concept. And to wrap it up, unexpected and nice things come out of hacking together. Basically, one of the journalists had who played at a band, and we decided that it would be a nice idea to have people from this band come and play during the hackathon. So we had a musical break, and then one of the guys said, "Hey, you have this nice atmosphere here. Why don't we try to do another hackathon for musical instruments, and we'll build a new electronic musical instrument with lights and sounds and Arduino inside." And that's actually one of the ideas for our next hackathon.
Wow, this is amazing. So one last thing, there is a saying that hackers do better citizens. Would you agree on this or comment in any form?
Hackers make better citizens. Well, it's about the spirit of innovation, about the spirit of experimentation. I know that the word innovation is so overused; it's pretty much a word, but there is almost always a way to look at a problem from a different angle. And if you have time constraints, and if you have creative people in one place, as happens during the hackathon, that's a perfect environment for doing something as a prototype, for trying to imagine a new way to solve a real problem. In post-Soviet countries, for example, like here in Belarus, people are often feeling like there's nothing that they can change, and there's almost nothing that they have impact on. So there is basically no space for innovation and no space where people could experiment. And hackathons and open laboratories basically is one of the ways to help people get a taste for to experiment with other talented people.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, and see you both at Personal Democracy Forum and Central Open Data Hackathon.